y'all, Melissa here with you today, and today I'm going to show you how to turn a crew neck t-shirt into a V-neck t-shirt. I personally do not like to wear crew neck t-shirts unless they're cut low enough that it's more of a scoop neck. I like my collarbones to be able to breathe. So today I'm going to show you the steps in how to do that. The first thing you need to do is you're going to cut your collar off, and I like to cut right next to the stitching and then take the collar off. Now, as you can see, this rib knit collar is not really, like, you could try to stretch it into a V-neck, and what it would do is it's going to pucker up and like pull your V-neck trying to be a crew neck, because this is sized for a crew neck. So in order to do a V-neck, you either need to have closely matching knit fabric like I did on this shirt, or you can go with a contrast style. We're going to do contrast on this shirt, so that'll be easier for you to see. The next step is going to be to fold your shirt, and you want to match the shoulder seams, and I'm just going to put a pin in here so that these seams stay together. And I'm going to fold the front too. Now, if you're working with a t-shirt that has side seams, you would want to match the side seams, unless of course your side seams are twisted. With this here, I am just going to make sure that the neckline matches, and then I will fold this down and smooth out that fold all the way down. Okay, so I've got my shoulders together, I've got my neckline edges matching here. And now it's going to be time to cut my V. So on some shirts, you are limited by where the graphics are placed. So you can see the one I'm wearing. I actually prefer a little bit of a lower V to about here, but I couldn't do that on this shirt because of where the graphic was. So this V is as low as I could go without getting into that graphic and cutting a V into it. This shirt that I'm altering today has graphics a little lower, so I am going to be able to go a little lower on my neckline. And in order to determine how low to go, I've just got another t-shirt here that has a V-neck with the depth that I like, and I'm going to match up the shoulder here, and I'm going to match up the center front, and that's going to give me a guide for where to cut my V. Now, another way you can do this is if you have this tool, this is a French ruler, you can place your ruler and kind of draw out a curve and go up to your back neckline at the shoulder point, because I'm not going to alter the back neckline at all, just the front. So that's another way that you could draw it on, but I'm just going to use this as a guideline, and I'm going to cut it by hand. Here is what the neckline on my new shirt is going to look like, plus the depth of a neckband. I do want to check, just because sometimes t-shirts are twisted, I want to hold it up to myself, make sure that V is in the center, because it's going to drive me nuts if it's not. And then the next step is going to be to measure this neckline. So I'm going to go back to matching up that shoulder seam and making sure that this is matched up in the center front. Okay, and then I just need to measure this whole back neckline to the front, and I'm going to double that, and that will be the measurement of my neckline. Now, I'm going to measure it on the seam allowance, so I'm going to come 1/2 inch down, and that's where I want to measure from. And I'm just going to curve the tape right along 1/2 inch in and all along the back neckline. That's going to get me to 13 3/4. So here's my rule of thumb for how to figure that out. You're going to take whatever this measurement is, and you can either do it with math, or you can just fold it in half if you have this kind of tape measure. So at 13 3/4, I'm folding it at half, and where the 0 ends up is 27.5. So 13 3/4 times 2 is 27.5. And then I'm going to take that 27.5 and I'm going to multiply it times 0.85, because that is generally what I like personally to do my neckbands a little bit smaller than the actual neckline. So it gathers it in just a teeny bit, but not so much that it puckers. Now, if you want yours to sit flatter, then you can do it times 0.9 instead of 0.85. And then remember to add a seam allowance to that. Okay, when I take my 27.5-inch measurement, multiply it times 0.85, I get 23 3/8. If I divide that in half, I'm gonna get 11 11/16. And then I want to add a 1/2 inch to that. So that's my seam allowance. And that's going to get me to 12 3/16, which I just rounded off to 12 1/4. So 12 1/4 cut on a fold here, and that's going to give me my neckband width. Now the last thing that I need to do on the neckband, I need to look at my shirt again, because this is going to be dependent on the angle that you cut with your V-neck. And this is why I rounded up on my measurement instead of down. Folding my shirt again in half so that I can see that V. I want to take my neckband and fold it this way, because these are the edges that are going to get stitched down onto the collar, right? It's going to look like this. But you'll notice this is a straight 90-degree angle, and that's not what I want. I want an angle that is going to match this angle of my V. So what I need to do is I need to make sure that I've got that point matched up, and then I need to cut, see how I've got the fold of my t-shirt matched to this line on my cutting board here? I want to make sure that I cut that amount up. You can do this with scissors or with a rotary cutter, just lining it up. Okay, what this is gonna do, when I open it out, you'll see that it is kind of a triangle shape like that. To start my V-neck, to finish my neckband, I have to sew this little seam in the top of the V-neck, and that's gonna be this right here. All right, now that I've shown you how I cut out my V-neck band and how I stitched that little notched edge, I'm not going to take you step by step through attaching it to the t-shirt. You can see over here on the side as I'm sewing it, basically you attach the point of the V to the stay stitched point of the shirt. You match it all the way around, you stitch all the way around. I highly recommend basting. I tend to baste and then fiddle with that V to make sure it's exactly centered where I want it before I stitch it with that stretch stitching that's much harder to undo if I need to. I do have a detailed step-by-step V-neck video that I am linking. So if you need the step-by-step nitty-gritty, that's the video you want to watch. But once you've attached your V-neck to your t-shirt and then you've top stitched it if you want, this is what it's going to look like. So now, instead of that crew neck that made me feel like I was choking, I have a much more comfortable V-neck to wear. And I've also linked a playlist here for more clothing alterations in case you're interested.